your birth mom?
I was actually, I just got into work at Enterprise, and I think we had just opened and the phone was ringing off the hook. No one was answering the phone. Um, so I kind of walked out and then walked back in, and the phone was still ringing. And I looked at the phone, and we have caller ID. And then the name Christy Rice came up, and I found myself just like staring at it. But in my head, I'm like, I know that name. So I picked up the phone, and she answers and she says, "Hi, I'm calling just to extend my rental." So I handle her, I handle the business, and then at the end of it, I'm like, "Can I ask you a few questions before we get off the phone?" And she's like, "Yes." And I'm like, "Have you been in Detroit your whole life?" And she was like, "Yes." And I said, "Do you have any kids?" She said, "Yes." I said, "How many?" She said, "5." And I said, "Can you name them for me?" And she started with Quincy, then she went to Quentin, or she started with Quentin, Quincy, then it went Justice, King, and then I stopped her and I said, "This is the last one, Chicago." And she just fell out, and she was like, "Yes." I was like, "It's me." I was like, it's me," and she just fell out, and we both started crying on the phone. So right after that.
Well, top of the day to you, hoping that you are doing well. You are with Urban Interest, and I am your host, Angela Matthews. Of course, we have some great stories, but we have some very wonderful guests with us today. We're going to talk about Black Lives Matter, that exhibit that is in Washington, D.C., as well as COVID-19 is the leading cause of death amongst police officers. Why is that? Then we'll get into a story of love and reconciliation. So stay put, stay connected. We will be right back.
Movies, documentaries, TV shows, local, national, world news, history, and culture. No network can tell your story better than UIN, because we are you. With us, you can become more than just a consumer. You become a keeper of the culture and empowered. Go to uintv.net, click on a channel to support, and subscribe today. Do it now.
Okay, let's get into our stories. The National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C., unveiled a new exhibit that pays homage to the Black Lives Matter movement. The artwork includes a stunning portrait of Breonna Taylor, the 26-year-old Louisville, Kentucky woman who was gunned down during a botched police raid. Let's take a look at this unveiling.
Black people are dying by the hands of law enforcement. Officers who claim to be about peace but keep murdering us.
Strength. She makes me stronger. When I think of her, when I hear somebody says her name, Breonna Taylor, it just makes me realize how blessed I am.
This is not how we're used to seeing her in the news. It's not how we're used to talking about her and how she's portrayed. To see her in a different light.
She's a beautiful Black woman. We only seen her in her uniform and thing, but this is a portrait of elegance, grace, strength.
I think it's such an important perspective, because Breonna Taylor was more than just this tragedy, right? She was actually this human being, this person that had a life.
Talisa Fleming, you are the interim chief curator of visual arts here at the museum. Tell me about this new exhibition. Why is now the right time for an exhibit like this?
Well, we're dealing with twin pandemics. One is the Black Lives Matter movement and the agency that people are having to really address injustices. And the other one is COVID, which has affected everybody in this country. And one of the things that we wanted to do was talk about how African American artists over the past 100 years have used their craft to protest, to defy, to show resilience in our culture and in our history.
Absolutely amazing. It's so much insight and so much that I didn't know.
Seeing is learning, and the more you read about it and the more you learn about it, the more you'll be able to understand as well as empathize with the movement.
Breonna must have been a strong woman, because I can feel the fire and the energy coming from her picture.
It can be an overwhelming experience. People have cried going through. I've heard numerous cases of people just welling up with emotion and really taking a look at how artists over time have really dealt with issues of social injustice. We really want people to get a feel of not only about our present, but about our past in the same exhibition.
I don't know about you, but that portrait of Breonna Taylor is absolutely stunning as well as emotional. I can even feel it right now, even here. That portrait was painted by Amy Shrove, the same artist who painted our forever First Lady, Michelle Obama. COVID-19 is proven to be the leading cause of death amongst police officers across the country. City leaders are finding themselves at odds with the powerful police unions who are opposed to vaccine mandates. I don't know why this is, but this is happening. So let's take a look at this story.
An untold victim of the COVID-19 pandemic.
I worry about coming home every day, period, not just because of a vaccine or because of COVID.
Police departments across the country devastated by the virus. And yet, convincing officers to get a COVID-19 shot hasn't been easy.
Some people let politics, I think, play into it in their decision making.
We're going to try to continue to educate our people to try to get more and more officers comfortable.
Keith Meadows, police chief for the city of South Fulton, just outside Atlanta, says less than half of his police department officers have been vaccinated.
How much do you think about them on a day-to-day basis when they're out there dealing with people who may have COVID, who may have not had the shot before?
You know, I think about it every day. It's even more important, to be perfectly honest with you, that our officers are educated around this issue.
Like Detective Joseph King, who remains skeptical.
Personally, I just want to kind of stand back and let them work through the kinks, and I'll then make a decision later on.
While some are reluctant to take the vaccine, others have opted to get vaccinated.
I made the decision to go ahead and get the vaccine in hopes that I don't have to feel that way again.
Roughly 60% of U.S. adults have had at least one dose, but in many police departments where vaccines aren't mandatory, it's a different story. As of May 10th, about 40% of Las Vegas Metropolitan Police employees have received their first dose. In New York, that number is 40% among NYPD employees. And in Chicago, it's 28%, according to the department's limited data, so that number may be higher.
It was painless, and I am afraid of needles, but I didn't feel a thing.
Earlier this year in Chicago, the police superintendent got his vaccine on camera, hoping it would inspire his officers. But the president of the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police Union isn't surprised by the low vaccination rate.
I think the officers are no different than the general population. There's a skepticism.
The reluctance to get vaccinated comes amid a year when police departments were hit hard by the virus. The NYPD estimates more than 11,000 have had COVID-19. And last month, the NYPD counted their 55th COVID-related death. Last year, the virus was the biggest killer of law enforcement in the U.S., causing at least 145 of the 264 line-of-duty deaths, according to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund.
One of our own, Lieutenant Eric Lloyd, we just recognized his name being put on the police memorial that passed away from COVID last year. Maybe if Eric was still alive and knowing that, he would be telling people, please go get it. Go get a vaccine.
My goodness. The vaccine mandates for law enforcement officers vary from state to state. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk with a son and a mother. This is a very heartwarming story of love and reconciliation. I love those kind of stories. So stay put. We will be right back.
What's your emergency?
Oh my God, a child
female 13 involving a child, the medicine route.
It is time. Time to put the guns down. We've had enough. My future.
My future.
My future. Our futures are in your hands.
Adults, put the guns down.
Wanna play? Sleep.
Walk to school.
Visit my friends. I want to feel safe.
It's time. Time to end gun violence.
Our lives depend on it.
Adults, this is not a request.
We demand that you protect us.
Put the guns down. We have hopes. Dreams.
Goals.
Don't let a split second of anger with someone else take away my entire lifetime.
Help us live. Help us thrive.
Help us build a better future.
All right, everyone. Thank you for returning and sticking with Urban Interest. I'm your host, Angela Matthews. You know, we talk about a lot of stories, right? We talk about pandemic and things like that, but this is a heartwarming story that truly just warms my heart of love and reconciliation. But before we get into the story, let me tell you just a little bit about it. We're going to talk to a young man. His name is Charles Guy. And Charles knew growing up that he was adopted. He entered into the life of Miss Bernevia Guy at the age of 2 years old. Now, from what I'm reading, Charles was a rambunctious little one. However, he grew up, you know, to be a fine young man. He went to school in Westland, as well as in 2015, he graduated from John Glenn High School, moving forward and moving on to attend Adrian College and finishing there about 4 years later. He worked at the, after graduation as an intern at Enterprise Car Rental. Now, I rent from Enterprise. That's one of the places that I go to. I'm considered, I guess, a premier account holder, but they don't treat me like that anyway. That has nothing to do with this. And after taking another job, he returned back to the company a year later. But little did he know that in returning to that job, that would open a door for a life-changing encounter, one that he started at the beginning of his life, and it would take him to this entire journey this way through up until that particular point. Charles would meet the woman who gave birth to him, who gave life to him at this particular place. So let's bring Charles in, as well as his adopted mom, Ms. Bernevia Guy, into this conversation. Good morning and hello to both of you.
Good morning.
Charles, did I get it right?
Yes, you got everything.
This is such a heartwarming and fascinating story. And so thank you so much for even wanting to speak with us about it. Truly, we are appreciative. And so, Charles, I want to ask you, it says that you knew that you were adopted when you were growing up. So how did that, how did that prepare you for the forward movement in life? And then how did you feel about that?
Growing up, I was looking at, I can remember just one time I was looking at photo albums, and I was looking at the photo albums, and then my sister came in my room and she saw that I looked a little confused, and she was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "How come I don't look like anyone in the family?" She told me to ask my mom. She's like, "I think that's a question you should ask mom." So I asked my mom, and she told me that I was adopted at that point. And I think that knowing that at a younger age, I think I was like around 8 or 9 at that point. But knowing that at a young age, it kind of matured me at a young age to know that life was going to happen down through the, like, in my life. I just knew that life was going to happen. And it just kind of matured me in a way of just accepting life.
Okay. Ms. Bernevia, when Charles came to you and asked that question, is it something in the back of your mind that says this day is going to come? And when this day comes, then this is what I will say. And how did you feel when he asked that question?
Well, I got associated with Homes for Black Children, and my social worker, Kim Gorey, wonderful lady, in going through the process with us, she told me, you're going to have to let him know. And I'm like, this is going to be my baby. He doesn't need to have that information. And she said, someone in your family will let him know, whether it be a family or friend or church member. So when he asked the question, I sat down with him. I had a book, an encyclopedia, I think it was, and it talked about adoption. So I told him that he was chosen and that I fell in love with him the moment I laid eyes on him. So it was not a hard conversation. It was just one that for him to understand. He has a big family. And eventually, you know, when he gets ready, that he could find out who his family was. So it wasn't.
Go ahead. Did we lose volume?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So this being, wow, just, you know, I'm just emotional right now and just hearing about the story and just so elated. As you can see, I'm smiling because there are children adopted, you know, all over the nation. And I don't know if they have an opportunity within their lifetime to have that conversation with the adoptive parents, being prepared, and then having an opportunity to meet, you know, their adoptive parent or parents. So Charles, how did this come to be that you found out with regards to your mom, your birth mom?
I just got into work at Enterprise, and I think we had just opened and the phone was ringing off the hook. No one was answering the phone. So I kind of walked out and then walked back in, and the phone was still ringing, and I looked at the phone and we have caller ID. And then the name Christy Rice came up, and I found myself just like staring at it. But in my head, I'm like, I know that name. So I picked up the phone, and she answers and she says, hi, I'm calling just to extend my rental. So I handle her, I handle the business. And then at the end of it, I'm like, can I ask you a few questions before we get off the phone? And she's like, yes. And I'm like, have you been in Detroit your whole life? And she was like, yes. And I said, do you have any kids? She said, yes. I said, how many? She said, 5. And I said, can you name them for me? And she started with Quincy. Then she went to Quentin, or she started with Quentin, Quincy, then it went Justice, King, and then I stopped her and I said, this is the last one, Chicago. And she just fell out, and she was like, yes. I was like, it's me. I was like, it's me. And she just fell out, and we both started crying on the phone. So right after that, I called my mom.
He called me and he was like, Mom, I just talked with my birth mom. He said, I need you to come now. I said, okay. Now this was right after the flood. So it was the first time we had the big rain and the flood. And I'm thinking, Lord, how am I going to get down there to him? But by the grace of God, I made it. And he was really nervous. But I was like, it's going to be okay. I told him, I said, I thank God for your mom, because if she didn't have you, you wouldn't be with me. So I was there with him, and I thank the Lord for that meeting that they had. Go ahead.
No.
Oh my goodness, my tummy is just all up in y'all in emotions. This is it's so very, it's a beautiful story, as well as courageous for everyone. And when we're going to talk with the birth mom in just a few moments, that everyone is here and that we're able to even bear witness to the story. And so Charles, did you ever think that in your lifetime that you would, you know, ever meet, you know, your birth mom, and did you want to, if that's a fair question?
To be honest, I never thought I would. I always wanted to, but I never thought I would. I've I worked at the Boys and Girls Club in Lenawee County for about 5 years. And I worked with a lot of teens and a lot of youth who were in the foster care system, who were going through hardships at home. And just to see them go through life and their situations and everything. And a lot of them would tell you that they would never think that they would see their meet their biological family. So just the chances of it happening, honestly, I didn't think it would happen. But since I always wanted it to happen, so I think it happened because we all wanted it to happen. We all had the same intentions of it happening. So,
wow, that's awesome. You have other siblings, as you just named. So, what was it like meeting your other siblings for the first time?
Oh, it's amazing. I've always wondered what it would be like to see someone who looked like me, and around my same age. So just to see my brothers and my sister and look at them and to see it like a reflection of myself, it's amazing. It's really amazing.
Okay. Given this beautiful story and being well-grounded, we can definitely listen and hear that. Were there moments, in your given circumstances that you might have become a little bit angry? And if so, how did you handle that when those emotions, or if those emotions even rose up?
For being honest, there were times I was angry, but I think the times that I was angry growing up is because I didn't understand the situation. I didn't understand fully what happened during the time we were sent away or picked up or anything like that. So yeah, I was angry, but to handle it, I was raised in a beautiful home who took me to church every Sunday, Monday through Sunday. So I prayed a lot. Growing up, I prayed a lot. And just the prayer of a clear mind and a forgiving heart, and a loving heart. That I always prayed for that. So it's one thing that I think God has gave to me to teach other people, and just to show other people love who haven't been shown love, because that's the one thing I was blessed with was love.
All right. So you've got siblings, and you've got now just this whole community and family of people who are in your life right now. So how is this this new experience has been for you?
It's new, to say the least. It's new, and it's something I'm still dealing with. I'm as close as I could be with my siblings. I talk to them almost every day, but I'm still learning on how to be CJ, and Charles, but also have all these families around me who I know love me and everything. So it's definitely difficult, but I know it's something I will get through.
All right. So you seem, you're well grounded and rooted, and being trained up, as a child in the way they should go. And then when they grow older, they will not depart. I heard that from your Miss Guy. I heard that. And so what are some things, if I can ask you this, Charles, that you are thankful for?
Life is the number one thing. Two, I would say a loving family, whether it is my adoptive family, my biological family, or my family. When I went to school, I had a lot of friends who I consider family. So family would be number two. Without them, I don't know where I would be, especially my mom here. I honestly don't know where I would be without her. So honestly, those are the two things I'm most grateful for and thankful for in life is life and the love of my family, for sure.
Amen. Oh, then that is an abundance right there. So, we're going to bring in Miss Christy Rice, who is Charles' birth mom, into the conversation. And it is so honorable to have both the adopted mom and the birth mom to even be with us this morning. So hello there, Ms. Rice, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. This is a very heartwarming and joyful, and you know, I'm not even in the family, but I'm feeling a whole lot of emotions.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable. There are no words.
So let's get into a conversation with yourself. Can you tell us or share with us what it was like being separated from your child or your children and having your parental rights taken away?
Again, there are no words unless you've gone through it. You know what I mean? There are no words. It's definitely the hardest thing that has ever happened, because it wasn't just Charles, it was 4 of my children.
Okay, thank you for that transparency. And Ms. Rice, did you ever think that you would see your children again, and then how did you feel when you did?
I always held on to hope. I always held on to hope, but you know, even with holding on to hope, as years go by, your hope, you know, tends to fade a little. But growing up in church, you know, and being a powerful prayer, I just continued to pray. And I knew that if it should happen one day, that I had to be ready. So I had to put my big girl panties on, and I had to keep moving so that when it did happen, that I would be ready, you know?
Okay, you guys got me up here teary-eyed. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to have this conversation, and it's just very, very heartwarming. And so Miss Rice, when Charles revealed to you, first of all, you're having a conversation with an employee of Enterprise, you know, car rental, and you're not thinking that you're going to get into this conversation. You're just calling to extend your rental. So when this young man said to you, "Can I ask you a few questions?" What went through your mind? Because you're like, I'm just calling to extend the rental.
Clearly. So when he asked me if he could ask me a few questions, I'm thinking that it was about the car. So I said yes. And when he asked me, had I been in Detroit all my life? I said yes. And he asked me, did I have any children? I said yes. How many? And I told him 5. And I was answering these questions without even thinking, because normally I would be like, well, who are you asking me all these questions? But I didn't. I just answered. Again, the power of God, you know? And when he asked me their names, and I just began to say their names, their birth names, because not just Charles, my other children's names had been changed as well. So when he asked me my children's names, I gave him their birth names. And when I got to his brother above him, he stopped me. He said, "And Chicago." And I said, "Excuse me?" I said, "How do you know that?" And he said, "Because I'm Chicago." And I lost it. I lost it. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I think we are all right there with you with regards to feelings and emotions, and this being such a heartwarming and touching story. And what makes it so heartwarming and touching is that I honestly can truly feel the love that Miss Guy has for Charles, the love that you have for Charles, and the love that both of you have as mothers with regard to
for Vernevia
Yes.
as well. I love her.
Yes, I can feel that. I can sense that. I can honestly, truly sense that. So we're all emotional here on Urban Interest today. And it is okay. And like I said, in telling your story and everyone being here to share the story. And everyone seems to be on one accord to say, Lord, when you prepare the meeting, then let us be prepared to receive each other.
Yeah.
And that is what I'm kind of getting from this story. Is that about? Okay. Now, Miss Guy, what made you decide to adopt a child at the time when you did adopt Charles?
I had one daughter, and I don't want her to be an only child. And my husband was adopted, so I thought we're going to give back to the community and give someone else a home. We have enough love in our home for another child. And CJ wasn't the first child we looked at, but I instantly, as I said, instantly fell in love with him. I didn't fall in love with my own child that quick. Is such a sweetheart. He just, and his foster mom, and she was wonderful with him. And so we keep in contact with her because I've always told him, if you want to know about your birth mom, Anne would be the one that have that information, because she fostered him and a few of the other siblings when they were just waiting for homes. So I wanted to share my love with someone else. And honestly, he was a good child. He really was very exceptional. And I'm very proud of him and to the young man that he's grown into.
Oh my goodness. Oh, this story. I'm trying to keep my composure and do this conversation, but y'all got me all over the place with my emotions. Okay, so I do believe you said when you first saw CJ or Charles, you just fell in love with him.
Yes, instantly.
Okay. And then so you're like, hey, got to take him home, right?
Yes. Long process, because Homes for Black Children, they were doing their best, but it was taking a while. And I just told the social worker, I said, you're playing with too many hearts. And I said, he wants to be here with me, because I would take him back to his foster mom and he would just cry. And she said, come get him. So it didn't take long after that, but he's just been a blessing. He has truly been a blessing in my life.
Okay, Ms. Guy, how are you feeling with this new dynamic? Because this is, it's inclusive of you as well.
It's amazing. I'm still on the cloud, because CJ was the last one. Well, first of all, he was my last born, and he's also the last one that came back, because it took years for me to get the other ones back as well. And that's a whole nother story in itself, how that happened. That was a Facebook encounter, how I found the other three. So, and that has been it's been almost 8 years since the other three have been back. So I'm still learning as I go, because of course I didn't raise them. So I'm a little rusty on my skills, but they have been making it easy for me. They haven't given me any problems as far as, my guilt and my shame. They have been really good young adults to me, because it didn't have to be this way, and that was my biggest fear, that when and if it happened, that they wouldn't want anything to do with me, but it's just the opposite.
Amen.
So I'm very grateful.
Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, I'm trying to hold this thing together, y'all, but That right there, because love doesn't keep a record of wrong. You know,
it does
endures
not.
all things, and you know, it supersedes, you know, the wrongs, the years, everything, just 100% pure love. And that is what you know, that's what I'm feeling in this space as we're talking about this. And so I'm gonna bring Charles back into the conversation. Having an opportunity, Charles, we don't know your whole story, but you are letting us into a very good piece of your story. How are you feeling at this particular moment right now with both of your moms here with you in this space?
In this space, I'm feeling double the love right now. And only to say that just because, like you said earlier, I know both of them love me. And I have no doubt in my mind about that. And I can use this platform to tell them both that I love both of you.
I love you too.
Without either of you, I obviously wouldn't be here. But I also wouldn't want to be who I want to be because of you two. Which is a great man, which is a God-fearing man. And only you two could brought that out of me. The love, it's all the love.
My. What an awesome young man that you are. And I can tell one who is definitely a leader. And it is my hope that when our audience sees this story, that it will touch some other lives and that people will be encouraged to tell their stories and then to reach out and to be reconnected to their families. So see, Charles, I know that we are here in the month of October, but when did this meeting, this divine meeting take place?
Chris, you gonna have to help me out. I think it was June.
June 28th.
June 28th.
Okay, June 28th. In the midst of a pandemic, come on now, somebody.
Come on.
In the midst of a pandemic, who else could bring about a situation of love, encouragement, and just, you know, to break you know, the negativity that's in the atmosphere. I'm gonna tell you, I'm on cloud 9 and with this particular story, and I just thank all of you for coming on Urban Interest. So the holidays are just, I can just only imagine what's coming up for Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and so on and so forth. That is gonna be on blaze, as y'all young people say. Is that what you say, Charles? It's gonna be blazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be lit.
Oh, I got it wrong. It's gonna be lit. It's gonna be lit. So from each of you, before we segue off, and we have people who will see this story and be impacted by it, in your own words, what would you say to someone who's wondering about, I'm adopted, I want to find, you know, my birth parent or parents? Charles, what would you say to that question from the adoptive parent perspective? Miss Guy, what would you say? And then from the birth parents perspective, Miss Rice, what would you say? So Charles, let's see, we'll start with you. We'll go to Miss Guy, and then we'll end with Miss Rice.
I would say to the foster child or the adopted kid who's looking for their parents or biological family, don't stop and keep going. It's a lot to go through. It's a lot on your mind. It's a lot on your heart. But you can always do it. And the grass is always greener on the other side. If you do it for the right intentions, if you lead with love, and you just have a pure heart, nothing wrong can happen from that. So just don't stop. Don't stop.
I would say never give up hope, trust God and his timing, because it will happen. Have an open conversation with your adopted parents. I kept it open with him. He has his papers. So when he saw Christy's name, he knew who it was, or he was confirming who it was when he talked to her. So just have an open conversation and never give up hope.
Ms. Rice?
Yeah, and to piggyback off of CJ, yeah, lead with love. And to the mothers out there whose children are still gone, please, please, please don't give up. I'm a living testimony.
Yes.
It was over 22 years that I had laid eyes on CJ. Who would have ever thought? So it doesn't just happen on TV. It happens in real life.
Oh my goodness. I have to do a mic drop right there and let that sit there to marinate. Listened to all of you. Thank you so much for being here and just being open to have this conversation. I just send you much love, and that you'll continue to remain connected, as well as lead with love and show other people who will bear witness to this, that the magnificent and wonderful things that God can do.
Oh, yes.
When you let him do it.
Amen.
All right. All right, everyone. This is a story of love and reconciliation. We are here with Charles Guy. We are here with his adoptive mom, Miss Vernevia. Did I say that right?
Got it.
Vernevia Guy, as well as his birth mom, Miss Christy Rice. And all of them are loving on each other, reconnecting. What a wonderful story to have in the midst of a pandemic. Only one person can do something like this. And I'll let y'all figure that one out. So listen, everybody, have a great day. Have a beautiful Thanksgiving holiday. Have a wonderful Christmas, and have a fantastic and phenomenal New Year if we do not reconnect with you before then.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for being here. All right, everyone, we're going to take a quick break. Let me get myself together, and then we're going to come back and we're going to wrap up this segment of Urban Interest. And Charles, you keep moving forward, young man, and doing what you're doing and being encouraging, especially in situations like this. Totally appreciate you.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate you. You have a great day.
Thank you. All right.
Today, we bring you the first part of our global broadcast exclusive conversation.
The streets of Tahrir have once again been filled.
Key issues here at the United Nations Climate Change Conference remain unresolved.
Police are saying the protesters to move further and further away.
Oh, that was good.
I'm Juan Gonzalez.
And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!
Whew, I don't know about you, but I'm still emotional with regards to that heartwarming and loving story. We talked about the Black Lives Matter exhibit at the National African American Museum, Historical Museum that is in Washington, D.C. If you have an opportunity, that is a beautiful place to view and read about history. Breonna Taylor, that portrait that's there just exuded with grace and elegance. And as you have heard, those people who have said that they've seen it, that it is very touching emotionally. And then we don't know why police officers are refusing to be vaccinated when they connect with the community on a daily basis. However, that mandate of vaccination is from state to state, but COVID-19 is the leading cause of death amongst police officers right about now. And then the heartwarming, loving story of love and reconciliation with Charles Guy. CJ, as well as his adopted mom, Miss Guy, and his birth mom, Miss Rice. What a beautiful way to end this segment and just to wrap it all up. You know, love covers a multitude of things, and that is exactly what they were talking about, how love has brought them together along with prayers. So listen, stay connected to us at urban.interest, on our Instagram at urban.interest, or check us out on our YouTube at DetroitDetiptv.com for a review of this story and just to hear about how families have come together, reconnected back into this pandemic. That was just very, very, very beautiful. Listen, have a great and awesome day. We will see you on Friday, I'm sure, with great stories as well as guests. Talk to you later.